You're chilling at your peaceful lake cabin, the one spot where you escape the world's chaos. But then, the tyrannical HOA president decides it's the perfect venue for her extravagant party, without your permission. Little does she know, you've rigged the place with clever traps to protect your sanctuary. What follows is a cascade of hilarious and chaotic mishaps that turn her night into a nightmare. Stick around for this epic tale of revenge and petty justice. In today's video, we're diving into a wild HOA horror story that'll have you cheering for the underdog. If you love these dramatic tales of neighborhood tyrants getting their comeuppance, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's get into it. The sun dipped low over the tranquil waters of Lake Evergreen, casting a golden hue across the modest cabin that had been in Alex's family for generations. Nestled among towering pines, the cabin was more than just a weekend getaway. It was a fortress of solitude, a place where Alex could unwind from the stresses of city life and the overbearing rules of the homeowners association that governed the surrounding properties. The HOA, led by the iron-fisted President Marlene, had long been a thorn in Alex's side. Marlene, a retired accountant with a penchant for power, enforced rules with the zeal of a dictator, fining residents for the slightest infractions like unapproved flower beds or mailboxes that weren't regulation height. But the cabin, technically on the edge of the HOA's jurisdiction due to an old property line dispute, had always been Alex's safe haven. Or so Alex thought. One crisp autumn evening, as Alex prepared for a quiet fishing trip, a notice arrived in the mail. It was from Marlene, declaring that the cabin's dock was in violation of new lake access regulations and demanding immediate compliance. Alex ignored it, knowing the cabin predated the HOA by decades. But Marlene wasn't one to back down. Whispers from neighbors revealed her plan. She intended to host the annual HOA gala at the cabin, claiming it as community property to teach Alex a lesson. Unbeknownst to her, Alex had anticipated such meddling. Years ago, after a string of minor break-ins by rowdy locals, Alex had installed a series of non-lethal traps around the property. Clever mechanisms designed to deter intruders without causing serious harm, but certainly enough to embarrass and inconvenience them. There were pressure-sensitive floors that triggered harmless alarms, hidden nets in the trees for anyone tampering with the perimeter, and even a few rigged doors that released plumes of flour or water. Alex had never activated them fully, but with Marlene's encroachment, it was time to prepare. As the day of the gala approached, Alex decided to lay low, pretending to be out of town while secretly monitoring the cabin via hidden cameras. Marlene arrived first, her SUV packed with decorations and catering supplies. She strutted up the path, key in hand. How she obtained it remained a mystery, perhaps bribed from the local locksmith. With a smug grin, she unlocked the door and stepped inside, flipping on the lights. The cabin's interior was cozy, with wooden beams and a stone fireplace. But Marlene immediately began rearranging furniture to suit her vision of grandeur. She directed her minions, fellow HOA board members, to set up tables and string lights across the deck overlooking the lake. As the evening progressed, guests began arriving. Stuffy neighbors in cocktail attire, sipping wine and gossiping about the latest finds. Marlene held court by the fireplace, boasting about how she'd reclaimed the space for the community. But as the party ramped up, the first trap sprang. One board member, a portly man named Harold, ventured into the kitchen to fetch more ice. He stepped on a loose floorboard Alex had rigged with a sensor. Suddenly, a hidden compartment popped open, releasing a burst of compressed air that sent a cloud of biodegradable glitter exploding into the air. Harold yelped, covered head to toe in sparkling flecks that clung to his suit like stubborn dandruff. The room fell silent for a moment before laughter erupted. Nervous at first, then genuine as others pointed and chuckled. Marlene, furious, dismissed it as a prank from that absentee owner and ordered cleanup. Undeterred, the party continued. Guests mingled on the deck, admiring the lake view under the twinkling lights. A woman in a sequined dress, Marlene's vice president Evelyn, leaned against the railing only to trigger a subtle mechanism Alex had installed after a previous railing mishap. The railing gave way slightly, not enough to endanger anyone but sufficient to dump Evelyn into a shallow inflatable pool hidden below, filled with cold lake water pumped in discreetly. She surfaced sputtering, her dress ruined, mascara running down her face. The crowd gasped, some rushing to help while others stifled giggles. Marlene stormed over, her face reddening like a tomato. "This is sabotage," she hissed under her breath. But aloud she played it cool, attributing it to structural issues that Alex would be fined for. As night fell, the partygoers grew bolder, exploring the cabin's nooks. A group wandered into the basement where Alex stored fishing gear and old family heirlooms. One man, trying to impress the ladies, fiddled with a locked cabinet. Unbeknownst to him, it was booby-trapped with a spring-loaded arm that swung out a foam bat, bonking him squarely on the head. He staggered back, rubbing his forehead while his companions burst into laughter. Word spread quickly, and the atmosphere shifted from elegant soiree to chaotic comedy. Marlene, sensing control slipping, gathered everyone in the living room for announcements. But as she stood on a small platform Alex had subtly altered, her weight activated a final indoor trap, a ceiling panel that dropped a cascade of feathers, coating her in a fluffy white layer that made her look like a deranged chicken. The room erupted in hysterics, phones coming out to capture the moment. Humiliated, Marlene called the party off early, vowing revenge as guests filed out, still chuckling. Alex, watching from afar, felt a twinge of satisfaction, but knew this was just the beginning. The traps had worked, but Marlene's ego wouldn't let her quit. As the last car left, the cabin stood silent once more, its secrets intact, waiting for the inevitable escalation. The fallout from the disastrous gala rippled through the community like waves on the lake. Marlene, ever the vindictive leader, wasted no time in retaliating. The next morning, Alex received a barrage of emails and certified letters citing numerous violations. Unauthorized modifications to the property, safety hazards, and even endangerment of guests. She demanded a special HOA meeting to discuss revoking Alex's access to the lake entirely, claiming the cabin's traps proved it was a public nuisance. Alex, back at the cabin now, surveyed the aftermath. Glitter still sparkled on the floors, feathers clung to curtains, and the inflatable pool had deflated into a soggy mess on the deck. Cleaning up took hours, but the hidden cameras had captured everything, priceless footage that Alex backed up securely. Neighbors whispered about the cursed cabin party, some siding with Marlene out of fear, others secretly rooting for Alex as the plucky rebel against her regime. Marlene rallied her allies, scheduling the meeting at the community center. She arrived early, setting up a presentation with photos from the party, carefully edited to show the traps as malicious rather than mischievous. As board members filed in, she painted Alex as a dangerous recluse, proposing fines totaling thousands and a lien on the cabin. But Alex had prepared. Attending the meeting incognito via a neighbor's proxy, Alex submitted anonymous evidence, old deeds proving the cabin's independence from HOA rules, plus select camera clips showing Marlene's unauthorized entry. The room buzzed with tension as the proxy read Alex's statement, challenging Marlene's authority. Flustered, Marlene adjourned the meeting, but not before announcing an inspection of the cabin to ensure compliance. Alex knew this meant trouble. Back at the lake, Alex fortified the defenses. The traps were reset with a few upgrades. Motion-activated sprinklers on the perimeter, sticky pads under welcome mats, and even a fake wasp nest that released buzzing sounds and harmless foam bees. As the inspection day dawned, Marlene arrived with the entourage, an inspector she'd hired, plus a few loyalists. They marched up the path, tools in hand, ready to dismantle whatever they found. The inspector, a no-nonsense type named Mr. Grimes, began with the exterior. He prodded the railing, triggering the same mechanism that had dunked Evelyn. This time it caught him off guard, sending him splashing into the now refilled pool. Marlene shrieked as Grimes emerged, dripping, his clipboard ruined. Undaunted, they pressed on. Inside, a board member stepped on the glitter floorboard again, unleashing another explosion, this time with added confetti for flair. Chaos ensued as colorful bits filled the air, sticking to wet clothes from the pool incident. Marlene, coughing through the cloud, ordered a search of the basement. There the foam bat swung again, this time nailing a loyalist on the shoulder. Laughter mixed with frustration as the group retreated upstairs. Mr. Grimes, professionalism cracking, declared the property unfit, but admitted the traps were ingenious and non-hazardous. Marlene, feathers from the previous drop still in her hair, somehow fumed. As they left, one last trap activated, the front door, rigged to release a bucket of water above. It drenched Marlene head to toe, her perfectly coiffed hair flattening like a drowned rat. The inspector chuckled despite himself, and the group departed in disarray. Word of the failed inspection spread like wildfire. Neighbors who had attended the party now shared stories online anonymously, turning the tale into local legend. Marlene's grip on the HOA weakened as members questioned her judgment. Alex, monitoring from the cabin's loft, pondered the next move. A truce seemed unlikely. Marlene's pride was wounded, and she plotted deeper. She began lobbying the county for intervention, claiming the cabin violated zoning laws. Alex countered by digging into Marlene's past, discovering her own property had undeclared additions. The battle lines deepened with the lake cabin at the center. As winter approached, snow dusted the pines and Alex stocked up for a long siege. The traps, once mere deterrents, had become symbols of resistance. But Marlene's next scheme involved something more insidious, rallying developers interested in the lakefront land. Whispers of eminent domain floated, threatening to erase the cabin entirely. Alex realized the fight was far from over, the peaceful retreat now a war zone of petty vendettas, setting the stage for a climactic confrontation. As snow blanketed Lake Evergreen, turning the cabin into a picturesque winter haven, the conflict with Marlene escalated to new heights. Her failed inspection had only fueled her determination, and she shifted tactics from direct assaults to bureaucratic warfare. Petitions circulated among HOA members, urging the county to investigate the cabin for environmental violations, claims of improper waste disposal and erosion from the dock. Alex, undeterred, hired a lawyer specializing in property rights, unearthing documents that solidified the cabin's grandfathered status. But Marlene had allies in high places, including a county commissioner who owed her favors from past campaigns. A hearing was scheduled, with developers lurking in the shadows eyeing the prime lakefront for luxury condos. Alex prepared meticulously, reinforcing the traps with seasonal twists. Icy paths rigged with harmless salt to cause slips without injury, snowbanks hiding net launchers, and even a chimney that belched fake smoke to simulate fires. The hearing arrived amid a blizzard, the community center packed with curious residents. Marlene presented her case dramatically, slideshows depicting the cabin as a decrepit eyesore endangering the lake's ecosystem. Alex's lawyer countered with evidence of Marlene's overreach, including the unauthorized party and inspection footage. The commissioner, swayed but cautious, ordered a final on-site evaluation by neutral experts. As the evaluators approached the cabin days later, Marlene tagged along, smug in her fur coat. The lead expert, Dr. Ellis, began assessing the dock. Stepping onto a pressure plate, he triggered a hidden mechanism that launched a snowball barrage. Soft, powdery orbs that pelted the group like a playful ambush. Marlene dodged, slipping on the salted path and landing on her backside in a snowdrift. The experts laughed it off, noting the ingenuity. Inside, another trap awaited. A rigged thermostat that suddenly blasted warm air, melting any tracked-in snow into puddles that activated sticky floors. Feet stuck, the group comically shuffled, peeling off shoes to escape. Marlene, apoplectic, demanded the evaluation cease, but Dr. Ellis pressed on, impressed by the non-lethal creativity. The report ultimately favored Alex, deeming the cabin compliant and the traps as private security measures. Defeated publicly, Marlene resorted to desperation. Late one night, she snuck to the cabin with a small crew, intent on vandalism to force condemnation. But Alex's cameras alerted and the traps shone. As they breached the perimeter, nets dropped from trees, entangling two accomplices in mesh. Marlene, evading that, tripped a wire that unleashed foam bees, buzzing speakers adding to the panic. She fled into the woods, only to step into a hidden pit, shallow, lined with cushions, but enough to trap her until dawn. Police arrived, summoned by Alex's alert system, finding Marlene humiliated and her crew apologetic. Charges of trespassing followed, shattering Marlene's reputation. The HOA board ousted her in a special election, electing a more reasonable president. Alex's cabin emerged unscathed, its traps dismantled now that peace reigned. The lake returned to tranquility, with neighbors occasionally waving in solidarity. Alex sat by the fire, reflecting on the ordeal, a testament to standing one's ground against bullies. The story became folklore, shared around campfires, a reminder that sometimes a little mischief restores justice. And so the cabin stood resilient, guardian of the lake's serene shores. If you enjoyed this wild HOA revenge saga, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic stories, and drop a comment below with your own neighborhood nightmare. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.